back to the Crimson 15 podcast. I'm your host, Crimson 10. If you're enjoying these long format reviews, be sure to like, sub, share, and hit that bell for notifications. Season 2 of She-Ra is finally upon us, and I will be doing my 7 days of She-Ra, reviewing a new episode every day with the upload probably sometime in the morning. But here we are at episode 1, and did it seem like to anyone else that this was like in turbo mode? Like everything happened really fast and the episode just ended? I felt like I was missing something. Like there was like an episode I missed because people are not acting the way they acted at the end of season 1, and it just felt weird. Common complaints from season 1 carry over in this first episode. Bad animation. There's some shots especially from distance, where characters' eyes are kind of skewed and messed up. There's going to be mistakes in animation. It just seems to show up a lot more. There's lazy animation, especially with movement. And man, these jokes, they're not funny. Comedy is hard. It's really hard to be funny. And not a single one of these jokes lands. But we open up and we're in combat. We see some of those four-legged spider bot things going around, and they're just getting their butt kicked. They're not even putting up a fight. And it's just the princesses are just beating them up and using all their powers, and they're not using any soldiers. You think they would have an attachment of some of the guards, some of the normal warrior people, but it just seems like they just use the princesses for everything. And Frosta is 1,000,000% a different character now. She was stoic, kind of more of a kind of like, I thought, even though she's young, she's going to be smart, she's going to be intelligent, maybe she's a little rougher on the edges, but she's going to be kind of like, I want her to be the Applejack of the group. For anyone who watches My Little Pony, the level-headed friend, the friend that you need, who's going to be, she may not be the most dynamic or the most fun to be around, but she's that person that you can go to for solid, good advice. And she's not that. She's a complete goofball. How did this happen? She was nothing like this in season 1. She's cracking jokes, horribly bad puns and jokes. She's like doing too much. Like she's always fighting every robot and saying dumb things, robot face, and all these like. This show did not need another goofball idiot. There's between Bo and Seahawk, there's such big goofballs that the quota has been met. We don't need any more silly characters, but damn, did they make Frosta a complete silly character. But here's another example of bad animation. One of these little spider bots gets hit and it goes rolling. But you can see all the skipped frames. So I'm assuming the budget's way low. Seeing that season 2 is only 7 episodes, it's really season 1 part B, and they're fighting easily. There's no sense of danger because they're just kicking everyone's butt. Bo's making silly faces because that's what Bo does. And at first I thought, this must be a training exercise because they're being too flippant with each other. They're just cracking jokes and being funny and kind of silly. They're not being threatened by anything. Glimmer does she grabs one of the bots, teleports it up in the sky, and then drops it, which is kind of a good use of her power. But we saw earlier in the scene, these spider bots are jumping around from a pretty high distance. So would that hurt them? I don't know how high up she was, but it doesn't seem like something that would hurt these things. And they're being thrown around so easily. Do these things not weigh anything? I would imagine they're, I don't know, at least as heavy as a car, but they're punching them, knocking them around, just like they're made out of they're made out of a balloon or something. We see She-Ra in the next scene fighting some spider bots, and I'm like, she's fighting a different part of the forest. They're fighting together, and She-Ra is starting to learn how to use her sword to turn into different weapons, which is pretty cool. She turns to the shield and more not bad, but cheap shortcuts. Like instead of animating movement, they're just moving the frame. So she shield bashes one of these spider bots, and then they just kind of shake the frame and move, and there's no actual animation going on. It's just cheap. She turns into a power pole. She turns into a morning star. Pretty cool stuff, but it seems like she has absolutely no control over this. Like she can't even did she even think, oh, Morning Star? No, it just happens because you can even hear it in her voice. Like, she's like, oh, like she's surprised on what weapons and things turn into. Then it turns into a cup, like what you would drink water out of. And she's like using it as a weapon. Is that a joke? It's not funny. Catra shows up. They're fighting. And just like I said in season 1, there's no reason why Catra could even fight She-Ra. She's so strong. Like, that would be like a little kid fighting an adult, like, strength-wise. Unless you're saying She-Ra is as Catra's as strong as She-Ra, which there's no way. It doesn't make any sense. But she's easily dodging her and, poking fun, kicking her around. She turns her cup into like a flute. And Catra's like, oh, you're going to play me a song? I can forgive Catra making stupid puns because she's trying to get under She-Ra's skin. That's probably her best ability, is that she knows Adora She-Ra so well. And then Adora does like this really lazy tackle. Okay. We get back to the others and their battle. And this is a horrible angle for Glimmer. She like summons her staff. And then there's Frosta. Oh, can you make anything? How to make these daggers? I'll do this. And she's just being this super bubbly, annoying character. And then Glimmer's like, no, that's my dad's. And then she's trying to explain it to her. But this is like this is supposed to be a fight. And that's why I got the impression that, oh, they're training. That's why they're kind of being goofy and not really, taking it seriously. And Frosta does like a big ice spike and kills the thing. And you could tell that she's getting under Glimmer's skin because she's acting like a stupid child. Get back to She-Ra and Catra fighting, and I'm sure everyone loves this shot. But she goes to attack Catra and then stops like an inch short, like she couldn't bring herself to hit her. Then we find out, oh, it is a training exercise, and everything gets deconstructed, and I guess she's with Light Hope. And if she knew it was a training exercise, why didn't she hit her? It's not real. Adora, are you an idiot? That was something that came through in season 1, that Adora isn't very smart. She's not the brightest bulb out there. She's quick to decisions. She lets her feelings control her a lot, and we see that she's still like that. Even a fake projection of her friend that, Catra, she still can't hurt her. You're an idiot. And then we get Light Hope is like, we made her mean because the real Catra's mean. And then Adora's like, yeah, I guess that's right. And again, it's supposed to be like a joke. Then she like goes to pat her on the head, but since she's a hologram, she can't touch her. These jokes aren't funny. Light Hope does a couple more jokes, still not funny. We get back to the other crew and they're like, oh, the force is never going to grow and everything. I'm like, oh, wait a second. I thought this was all one big training exercise. No, only Adora's training. The other people princes are actually fighting those robots. So all the goofiness and being silly and dumb, they were doing that during an actual battle. That's pathetic. Bo, even though he has all these like silly reactions to everything, he's actually the only one who's thinking. He's thinking, oh, we need to take apart these spider bots, see how they work and everything. But like they're like getting all destroyed. But that doesn't make sense. They destroyed so many of these robots. I'm pretty sure they could piece them together from all of the wreckage. They make it sound like every single one of these things is unsalvageable. And then even though they're like all beat up, Frosta comes in and punches another one to break it even more. Frosta, you're an idiot. We get back to Adora and she's complaining, I've been training for a month. So a month has passed between their big victory from the last episode to now. And she's been trying to train and she's not getting any better. Has zero to no control over her sword. Then Light Hope is basically making more jokes. Oh, your performance is worse. Oh, disregard that. My human protocol, blah, 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 blah. Should I smile more? You should stop telling jokes. The writers should stick to trying to develop the characters, not try to put in all these silly moments. None of them work. I'm rubbing my temples with every joke because they're just bad, bad, bad jokes. But Light Hope is right. She's like, you'll learn by doing. So she makes another monster for her to fight. She summons her sword, but the sword is like without I don't know if it's supposed to be like a dinner fork or the sword without the blade. It just looks like the hilt. I'm laughing because it's so ridiculous. we get to we transfer over to the bad guys, and it's the same shot of like the city they've been using every single time. And we got the three idiots training: the lizard person, I forgot their names already. Kyle, who can forget Kyle? But then the black chick. So it looks like the lizard and the black girl, they're only ones that are able to look like, oh, they could be soldiers. Kyle is just crying and screaming and running and acting like an idiot. So they're training, and I guess they do like a projection of She-Ra's, like, it looks like a big scary She-Ra. Kyle's literally screaming for his life and bends over. He's gonna take it right in the butt. Kyle, God, dude. Oh my goodness, this kid. They wouldn't put up with this. Hordak would not put up with this kid. They would have killed him or moved him to like kitchen duty or make him like a janitor or something. They have failed to turn this kid into a soldier since infancy. This kid has been part of this team, and he's still a blithering coward. Ridiculous. Catcher shows up. She's talking crap to her team. Whoa, what did Kyle do? I don't know, being born. And we get a sequence that makes no sense. She's like, oh, if you're going to take on She-Ra, she's too strong, but she's slow and easily manipulative. Is she slow? Like physically slow? She seems pretty quick and powerful. I don't know where that's coming from. Maybe compared to Catcher because she's so athletic, but taking advantage of her quote-unquote slowness, I don't get it. Manipulation, yes. Catra has that on She-Ra all day long. She can manipulate her. But then she's like, I'll show you how it's done. And then she beats the spider bot that's doing the projection of an evil She-Ra. And she like breaks the guts. I'm thinking to myself, that's not how you're going to beat She-Ra. That's how you beat a spider bot, not She-Ra. So I don't get it. It's really dumb. Catra's walking out of the training room, and she goes to her room, and there's Scorpia and Chaptra, and they're just being super silly. We're roommates, and we're making goofy things and making funny jokes, and oh, I got all my stuff from the castle. I got a picture of a kitty, and it's it just goes on and on with the silly jokes. They check in on those spider bots, and they're getting their butts kicked. It's not even a battle. They're just the princes are just easily ripping these things apart. And I guess they're trying to build better bots because these ones that they're making are garbage. They're just getting their butts kicked. And then that's in Chapter's plan to use First One's tech to make better bots. Get back to Adora. She's finished her training. She gets on Swiftwind and they fly back to the castle. And I guess they're going to they're having a meeting of the new Council of Princesses. There's like their first meeting. And Adora's walking with her sword like out in front of her. It looks really weird. And Bo actually brings up a good point. He's like, we keep fighting these robots in the forest. It just seems like they're distracting us, which is the real plan, is to keep them trying to protect the forest while the Horde takes over other parts of the continent. Man, that's actually a good plan. And Bo figured it out, but Glimmer's like, oh, we'll just keep fighting, and that's what we'll do. And doing the same thing over and over again is not going to help you in this. It's not going to win a war. You're winning these little battles, but you're going to end up losing the war. Frosta shows up, and she's like, oh, yeah, we're going to the meeting. Oh, we're going to be late. Oh, we better get there real quick. And she's definitely on Glimmer's nerves. Everyone is kind of like, ha, 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 kind of laughing, like nervously. Frosta, you got to know you're being irritating. And it's just such a weird concept for her character because she was nothing like this in season 1. There should have been some more episodes building up to her being cold. Then slowly but surely starting to warm up. Oh, I got friends. I don't know how to act. I'm being that awkward kid. And then like having to learn to be a little bit more reserved again. But everything's in fast forward mode. And there's like, I feel like there's just episodes that are missing. This doesn't feel like a first episode of season 2. It feels like an episode 4 or 5. But they're making their way to the council. And by God, these far shots look awful. Just look at this. This is storyboard art. And they didn't finish it. It looks so bad. We get more division amongst the princesses, which is dumb. It's Mermista and Perfuma. Oh, Perfuma's talking to Mermista. Oh, that's my chair. I'm supposed to sit there. Oh, maybe you need a different look of perspective. So she's not going to give up the chair. I'm like, Mermista, do you got to be like that? Like, and she has that look on her face. Like, yeah, do something about it. didn't they realize at the end of season 1 it was them working together that made all that super rainbow power? They're gonna just be mean to each other for no reason? Okay. Casta's there, Glimmer's aunt from that one episode, and she looked this family. No one looks like each other. Glimmer doesn't look like her mom. Her mom doesn't look like her sister. Nobody looks like anybody. So there's no familiarity between any of these characters. And she's like, oh, I would miss the first day of the Princess Alliance. And then freaking Angela's talking to her sister. She's like, oh, too bad you weren't there for the battle. So like, she's being bitchy. What the hell's wrong with these people? So they're getting some reports, and they get a report from Swiftwind because I guess he's like the scout, and he's like, oh, the Horde's been taking some lands from here and there and everything, and yeah, but with the help of Castaneda, because she can make nets, and I keep saying Spinderella, which is just a funny joke, but there are two. She's like, oh, but with the help of these. Them two, we've been able to kind of fight them up and keep them at bay. And then I'm like, oh, okay. Swiftwind went 5 seconds without being an ass. Then he's like, realizes, wait a second, I'm a complete dummy. How come I don't get a chair? I deserve to have a chair like everybody else. You are a stupid horse. You couldn't even sit in a chair if they gave you one. And Angela's like, yeah, okay, we'll get you a chair. Next thing, it's not funny. It just makes Swiftwind that much more of an irritating moron. They're taking more questions from the gallery of princesses. Perfuma's like, oh, we've been trying to save the forest, but it's slow. I can't regrow the forest, but they keep attacking, so we're stuck in this never-ending loop. Then she's all, we need to tap into that power that we used before where we're all work together. Maybe we should hold hands and like, I don't say a prayer or whatever the hell she says, which is closer to what they need to do than anyone else, what their plans are. Bo stands up and he's like, yeah, we keep getting attacked with more and more of these robots, but we're stuck on one task, is defending the forest, and we need to take the fight to the Horde. We need to be on the offensive, not on the defense, which is good. I'm glad Bo came up with that. He's like, hey, we need to capture one of these robots so we see how it works. Maybe we can reverse engineer them. And he's like, oh, we keep blowing them all up. But here's the thing, they didn't. There's plenty of those robots. Between the 50 of those bots they blew up, there had to have been enough parts between all of them for him to make at least a decent look at how these things work. But he needs to come up with the plan is we'll capture one. And then the Angela's like, oh yeah, good idea. You go, Bo, that's your mission. You take you, Adora, and Glimmer go out there and actually get that done. Frosta, I'm guessing, is trying to impress everyone. Oh, look at all the things I can do. I'm a good asset. I'm a good friend. I can do all this stuff. Oh, I'll go along with you. But then Glimmer's like, no, you just stay here and defend the castle, because he's like, it's like a little kid who's trying to help, but they're like more trouble than they're worth, so they're just trying to get rid of her. Kind of mean that they're not being honest with each other, but whatever. We get back to the Horde, and Scorpia and Catra are talking to Hordak. Hordak still looks awesome. Doesn't really do much, but they're like holding up a piece of paper with all their expanded territory. Would it really be on a piece of paper? Don't they have all this technology with like holograms and everything? Like it's just something for Scorpia to do, to stand there and hold the piece of paper. And Hordak's pleased. Oh, you're doing much well. I'm glad I made you force captain. Blah 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 blah. And Chapter is like being an idiot. Oh, what's this? What's that? Like screwing around in the throne room. Why doesn't Hordak say, yes, you're very smart and intelligent, but when you're around me, if you're not telling me something important, I need you to shut up, because she's just being like herself, which I would imagine is pissing off Hordak, but he never says anything. They start talking about the spider bots and how she's making a better one. There's like an improved one, but since it takes first one's tech, she's only able to make 4. And then Chap's like, oh, I know where to get more of that. Then we can build a bunch more robots. Decent plan. The robots haven't been working that great, but a new and improved one is always good to have. Get back to the forest, and all the princes are there. Okay, let's split up and look for clues, Scooby-Doo style. And you guys go to the north, you guys go to the west, blah, 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 blah. This Swiftwind looks horrible. Swiftwind's going to be in the air doing recon. And it's supposed to be Mermista, Perfuma, and Frosta are supposed to go over here, and then Bo, Glimmer, and Adora are going to go over there. So Glimmer set it up to where she wouldn't have to be around Frosta, which is awful. Then she's kind of scolds her. Like, you need to listen. Don't try to, disobey, do follow orders. But there's no chain of command here. So I'm guessing Glimmer is the leader, but not really, because everyone just does whatever the hell they want to do. They're walking around. They see that new spider bot that got deployed. And they're just kind of being goofy. Adora goes up there and like pokes it with their sword. Oh, it was easy to beat, but of course she didn't beat her. Glimmer tries to fight it. She gets thrown far away. Bo's screaming like a little girl. Why isn't he shooting his arrows or doing anything important? They're just taking the turns getting their butts kicked. Dora wastes 30 seconds, becomes She-Ra, starts to fight this thing, and she's having trouble with it. Like, she can't beat it. It's kind of knocking her around. It's really not beating her, but it's definitely defending against her. It gets on top of her and pins her to the ground. Then she does like this leg kick and it goes like flying, I don't know, a million miles away. They think, oh yeah, we beat it. No, it starts to rebuild itself, and it kind of has like a really crappy looking regeneration process. It's not even like it's not like in Iron Man and Infinity War when his armor was getting beat up, the nanobots are like rebuilding itself. No, this just kind of happens with a really crappy effect. So they keep fighting it, and 3 more show up. I guess they may be able to make 4. And She-Ra's sword becomes a freaking umbrella, parasol. Why not just keep it a sword? Why does that matter? Frosta shows up because she didn't follow orders, and she came back. She's like, I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to help you fight this robot. And she's like punching it, like how someone would practice punch a punching bag. She's not even throwing hard punches. She's just barely tapping it. It grabs her and throws her. Like, it sends her flying off the side of this cliff. And I'm thinking to myself, she can save herself. She can make an ice slide and just slide down. But no, Glimmer goes and teleports to go save her because she can't save herself. Doesn't make sense. The other princesses show up, even though they were supposed to go in another direction. I guess they didn't. They just showed up, and they didn't really care about finding Frosta because they find her to be irritating too. Glimmer saves her, starts to scold her again, tells her, oh, you did this wrong, that wrong, you need to listen, and you don't follow orders. Of course, Frosta cries and runs away. And Bo's like pissed. He's like, we couldn't beat these new bots. We couldn't even capture one. We're going to get crushed because now they're even faster and stronger. And then, they're like, no, you had a good plan. Capturing one would be a smart idea. Why doesn't Frosta just put one in a block of ice? That's like they're not even, or just tied up with the vines. Because they did it a couple of times. Just don't throw them and break them. Just bind them up. I don't know. They're idiots. And look how horrible Swiftwind looks right here. Oh my God. Learn to draw a horse. My goodness. Then they're like, oh, we need all of us. And, oh, we need Frosta. Oh, she ran away pouting. And then Glimmer's like, okay, I'll go get her. Then they have a little heart-to-heart. And this is something that should have happened after a few episodes. I'm guessing Frosta is acting this way because she never had friends. She took over the throne when she was a little girl, and everyone she knew was just her subject, so they all treated her like the queen and not like a friend. So she didn't know how to act around other people, which makes sense, which is a good lesson. It just happened in super fast turbo mode. This should have happened over a couple of episodes. She should have been cold and distant, started to open up, started acting weird and awkward because she doesn't know how to act around friends, became irritating, and then this scene happens where she talks to her about, oh, you kind of remind me of myself, you're a little too reckless, you need to follow orders. All that's good. It shouldn't have happened so quickly in one episode. Then she agrees to come back. I guess we're best friends. Then we get that scene from the trailer, and my God, look at this angle. Awful. It just looks so bad. What editor looked at this and said, yeah, keep that in the show? And it's only for like a couple of seconds, so it could have been easily cut out. Like I said, we got that trailer footage they showed, and all the same stupid puns. She-Ra weapon turns into a cup. They're fighting. And Chapter and Scorpio are watching it like it's a basketball game or a football game. Oh yeah, get him! Yeah, punch him! And are we bad guys or are we little kids? The only one who's being decent is Catcher, because she's watching and she's getting kind of like nervous because they're starting to beat these robots now. They had all this trouble with one, and now they're able to take on 3 easily. Like, what the hell? Like, even Glimmer just makes her bow and just pops it in the eye and breaks it. I thought these things could regenerate and stuff. What happened to that? So it's just inconsistent. We get that scene where She-Ra makes the rope and does an impossible slide with no momentum, but whatever. And the hey Catra, she punches it. And I guess these things can self-destruct. So Catra thought she saved one. Oh, not Catra. She-Ra thought she like, oh, I saved one, Bo, but it's set to self-destruct and it blows up and sends her flying in a kind of a funny way.
Bo, look! I got one!
Medora, get away from it!
But there's one left. And like, oh, we gotta stop it before it blows up. Then we get some teamwork. Like, teamwork that's... it's unnecessary teamwork. Why would Mermista need to make a bunch of water for Frosty to freeze when she could easily just freeze it? They've shown how insanely powerful she is. She's making giant ice spikes in seconds, like with no effort. So that extra tidal wave of water is 100% unnecessary. They work together as a team, and then they get the glowy, because when you work together, you glow. And so they got that thing, and then the force starts to grow really fast in a super cheap cross dissolve.
Look! Whoa!
The animation's so cheap. So they're happy. So when they work together, all their powers are magnified. So okay, that makes sense, but they could have shown it better. We get to Shadow Reaver, and she's like in a cell, I guess. And she's on the ground. She all looks like crap. Catra comes to her. Oh, you look horrible. And Shadow Reaver's all, oh, are you here because you've been banished like me? And Hordak saw that you were terrible. And then Catra just went there to give herself an ego boost to kind of talk crap to her former leader or teacher abuser. Oh no, he promoted me. He loves me. I've gotten her closer to defeating, conquering Eternia than you have. And then she's like, well, then what the hell are you doing here? Which is true. And then she's like, oh, I'm going to beat them and everything's going to be on me and I'm going to be the front of the army and all the glory is going to be mine. And she's like, oh, good. I needed that. So you needed to put someone down and treat someone like garbage. I know she's a bad guy, but that's pathetic. You're better than that, Catra. You should have more confidence in your abilities and your skills because you're the only character who's grown. But now this is kind of a reversal where she needs that outside influence to make herself feel better. So I thought, well, that was a dumb scene for her. It kind of, rewinds her character a bit. So she needed just that little mini ego boost for herself. Like, okay, whatever. We get back to Bright Moon and all the girls are together and this far shot looks awful. Glimmer's combing Frosta's hair and she's putting Adora's putting bandages on her arm. I'm like, okay, so we have girl time. Yay, we're besties now, and gives her a little wink. Bo apparently wants to be like a master mechanic person. Like, I know they alluded to that he made his own arrows and he tinkered with stuff, but now he wants to be like a master, engineer. Okay. He's talking into a recorder box thing. And he's like, oh, I'm talking to this because the smartest person I ever know did this. And I don't know who I'm talking to. Was he referring to Entraptor or was he referring to another engineer? I would love to see where Bo came from. Does he have a people? Does he have a family? Or is he just hanging out in the woods all by himself? But he pops this lid open pretty easy. Like, there's these things fall apart way too easy. And he sees that there's first one tech in there. And he's like, wait a second. The only person I know that could work this stuff was Entraptor. But if this came from a new bot, that must mean she's alive. And he's like, yeah, she's alive. But then he realizes, holy crap, we abandoned her this whole time. And he's like, oh man. And that's how the episode ends. A pretty lackluster first episode. It felt disjointed. All the comedy, all of it's flat. Cut out a lot of the one-liners and this, especially during a fight. If it's like a silly fight and it's a training exercise, fine, whatever, they can act like idiots. But during a real battle where, people could die and get hurt, no more puns. Just leave those at home. The Horde seems to be having a plan. Adora needs to master her stupid sword and stop making umbrellas and cups and pitchers and silly things. It shouldn't even be able to do that. Like, that should not even be an ability that she can make her sword into something silly and stupid. Hopefully Frosta gets better. Like, they literally took her character and made it into this silly character. And first episode over. And if I wasn't doing these reviews, my goodness, this show, it's kind of bad. The one thing about being bad is there's always room for improvement, but damn, they only got 7 episodes. And one episode, the first one, is a complete waste. The only things that happened were we learned that the good guys learned that Chapter's still alive. After that, really nothing. This episode was practically worthless. I wish some more things would have happened. I would have more things to talk about, but it's just so plain and blah. But yeah, see you guys tomorrow for episode 2, and 7 Days of She-Ra continues on. Crimson Saint here. Thanks for watching the video. If you're enjoying the content, be sure to sub, like, share, and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss a single upload. If you have any tips or story ideas, hit us up on Twitter at C15Podcast, or better yet, join our Discord server, link in the description below.